Hello everyone and welcome to Start Eye. In this video, we are going to discuss about the lacrimal apparatus, right? So the lacrimal apparatus is the complex system, right? So in the lacrimal apparatus, we have the production system and then the distribution system and later the drainage system. System of what? All the production of the tears, distribution of the tears, and the drainage of the tears is the basically this whole system is the lacrimal apparatus, right? So in this video, we are going to discuss that how the tears are produced, then how they are spread or distributed on the ocular surface, and how they are later drained out, right? So the lacrimal apparatus also plays a very important role in maintaining the health and comfort of the eye. As you all know that if there is no watery structure behind the beneath any surface, right? So that will cause some friction and it can cause discomfort. Similarly, in our eye, when we close our eye and there is no any layer that is giving the moisture to the surface, when the two surfaces are rubbing upon each other or against each other, so what will happen? There will be some friction, and what will happen that this will cause the discomfort to the patient while patient is blinking, right? So in order to reduce that discomfort, naturally we have the tear system in our eye that will help in the moisture and in the reducing the friction, and this will eventually give comfort to the eyes, right? So this network basically includes the production system. The tears are produced by a gland which is a lacrimal gland. Then the tear ducts are there. What are the purpose of that tear ducts? That the secretions from the gland, the lacrimal gland, these secretions are uh, bring or they are secreted through the ducts that are the tear ducts, and from the tear ducts it gets onto the surface of the ocular surfaces, that is basically eye, right? And the associated structures. Then we have also the associated structures include punctum, from where the drainage system starts, right? So punctum, then canaliculi, and later on a lot of structures we are going to discuss today in this video. So don't worry about it, right? And what is the most important function of the tears? That it helps in the protection of the ocular surface from any debris, any dirt, and any uh, problem, which can include the dryness, irritation, and infections as well. So these tears are made in order for the comfort of the eye. So let's not waste our time and let's understand the complete lacrimal apparatus. So over here you can see this gland which I was talking about, the production system is the lacrimal gland. These are the tear ducts from where the tears are moving to the ocular surface. This is the eye which needs the comfort, which needs lubrication and moisture, that is provided by the tears. Over here, towards the nasal side, there is a dot or a dot-like space, that is the punctum, that collects the water or the tears and drains out to the nose. So here there are small canals, that are the canaliculi. These punctums are present in the lower eyelid as well as on the upper eyelid, and these canaliculi are also present on the upper and lower part as well. Then we have the nasolacrimal duct, and then finally we have the inferior meatus or the nasal cavity where the tears are drained, right? So the lacrimal apparatus has two basic systems, that is secretory, or which is the production system, which include the lacrimal gland and ducts as discussed before. And there are some accessory lacrimal glands as well that helps in the production or that contribute in the production of the tears. These glands are gland of Cross and Wolfling, and the details will be discussed in this video later, right? And the excretory system as well is the second part of the lacrimal apparatus, that includes the lacrimal punctum, lacrimal canaliculi, which are the canaliculus we have discussed before, the canals after the punctum, Then we have the lacrimal sac where all the tears are collected, and then we have the nasolacrimal duct where the from the lacrimal sac the tears then move to the nasolacrimal duct that is present in the nose, and from there, from the nasolacrimal duct the tears are drained into the uh, inferior meters or the nasal cavity, right? So this is the complete lacrimal apparatus. Here is on the temporal side there is a secretory system, while in the nasal area there is a drainage system, and the distribution is on the surface of the eye, right? Okay, so first of all we are going to discuss about the secretory system. So the secretory system consists of the lacrimal gland, which is basically a serous gland that produces the serum. Serum can be a water that contains some essential minerals. So they are located at the upper and outer angle of the orbit. So here temporally above the eye, temporal area, in the temporal area under the eyebrow we have the lacrimal gland, right? So they are present in a depression that is the fossa for the lacrimal gland. So it's a hollow area, there is a hollow area in the orbit that is basically made for the lacrimal gland. Approximately it is just the size and shape of an almond. You have seen the an almond, and it is exactly the same size as of almond, and they have the watery secretion that they produce the basal tears. So basal tears are the tears that are present every time on the surface of the eye. For what are their function? They are helping in the the lubrication and moisture of the eye for the help for in order to reduce the friction. The basal tears are helping in it, right? Okay, so we have some parts of lacrimal gland as well. Over here, you can see anteriorly that the you can see the two parts, right? One is the smallest one, and other one is the biggest one. So, what are these parts? Let's discuss. So, anteriorly, the gland is divided into two parts. Okay, basically, the gland is a single one, right? The both of the parts are attached posteriorly but are divided into the two parts anteriorly, making the two different parts. One is the upper orbital part which lies in the orbit, while the lower one, which was the smallest one, was the is the lower palpebral part which lies near the palpebral or on the eyelid region, right? The duct of the lacrimal gland, which are about 12 in numbers, open in the fornix of the upper lid. So these ducts, the lacrimal glands have some tear ducts, which I have discussed already. These lacrimal ducts open into the fornix, and fornix is a structure we have discussed in the anatomy of conjunctiva, that fornix is a type of conjunctiva, or you can say that it is a point or a junction where the bulbar and palpebral conjunctiva meets each other, right? So that junction is the fornix, and the tear ducts are open on the fornix of the upper eyelid only. Why not lower eyelid? Because the lacrimal gland and the tear duct are present on the upper eyelid only, right? So here you can see that this is the lacrimal gland, and this is the orbital part of lacrimal gland, while this one is the palpebral part of the lacrimal gland. And these tube-like structures are the ducts that are opening in the fornix, or this is a junction where the palpebral and bulbar conjunctiva meets, right? Okay. As we were discussing about the secretory system, so we have two parts. One was the lacrimal gland, which has been discussed, while other is the accessory lacrimal gland that help in, or that only contributes. They don't have a major role but have the minor role in the production of the tears, but they do have a role, right? They contribute in the production of the tears. These glands are present on the conjunctiva, right? In the conjunctiva, we have some glands that are the accessory lacrimal glands, which names are glands of Cross and glands of Wolfram. So these two only contribute in the production of the tears, right? and their function, like we likewise we have discussed in the anatomy of the eyelids, that gland of Zeiss and mole have the contribution in the production of the oil, right? But the major role was uh, of the meibomian gland. Similarly, here these accessory lacrimal gland have the minor role, and major role is the of the lacrimal gland, but they still have help in the contribution of the production of tears, right? So glands of Cross are present along the upper tarsal plate. So upper tarsal plate is the tough fibrous structure on which the meibomian glands are present, right? So they are present along, like they are present near, and they, likewise the tarsal plate is moving, they are also present in that structure, right? And at the inferior border of the lower tarsal plate. So they are present near the tarsal plate, and they are about 20 in numbers, right? The numbers can vary, but still we have an average number, that is 20. So gland of Wolfring are present at the fornix. Fornix again is a junction where the bulbar and palpebral conjunctiva meets. So at the fornix, the gland of Wolfring are present, and they are very few in numbers, right? So these function, what are the function of these glands? These glands help in the production of the basal tears. And one more thing, we have two type of tears. One is a basal tear, while other is a reflex tears. The gland of Cross and Wolfring help in the production of the basal tears, as the basal tears are the one that are present every time on the surface of the eye, that provide nourishment and moisture onto the ocular surface, right? But the reflex tears are the one that are formed or produced in case of any emergency, or they are produced in response to any foreign particle, right? So what is the purpose of explaining about the basal and reflex tears? The reflex tears are secreted by the lacrimal glands only, right? So in response to any foreign particle or foreign body, our lacrimal gland secretes the reflex tears. But the basal tears are produced or secreted by lacrimal and accessory lacrimal glands both, right? Okay, so over here we have said that near the tarsal plate is the gland of Cross, and at the fornix is the accessory lacrimal gland. So accessory lacrimal glands are nearly found in the conjunctiva, and it is basically in the palpebral conjunctiva, right? So accessory lacrimal glands are found in the palpebral conjunctiva. So now we have discussed all about the secretory system. We are going to discuss about the drainage system now. So here again, this is the secretory system, and this nasal structures are these all are the drainage system, right? So we are going to discuss the drainage system now. So first of all, we have the lacrimal puncta, which you can all see naked with the help of the naked eyes. And if you avert the eyelid, right, border of the eyelid, if you avert your lower eyelid, you can just see a dot on the surface of the lid margin. So this opening, or this small dot like structure, is basically the opening that collects the tears, and it helps in the drainage, right? So the most important and the first part is the punctum, and these are basically two small opening. Uh, one is on the upper eyelid, and one is on the lower eyelid lid margin, right? So situated on small elevation called lacrimal papilla. So the lacrimal papilla is a little bit elevatory part of the lid margin on which the punctum is situated, and it is about 6 millimeter from the inner canthus, right? So it, from inner canthus you can see this is the distance of about 6 millimeter. The about the distance between the punctum and inner canthus, or the medial canthus, is about 6 millimeter, right? And on upper and lower lid margin, on, and it is, as I have already discussed, that it is present on upper and lower eyelid So there are two punctums. Next structure is the canaliculi, lacrimal canaliculi. Over here, I want you all to see the canaliculi so that you may not have any kind of confusion. These two dots or openings are the punctum, right? But these two canals or tube-like structure are the canaliculi. Single means canaliculus and two means canaliculi. So these are the lacrimal canaliculi that collects the tears from the punctum, right? Okay. So they are narrow tubular passages, lies one above the other being separated by small body, that is the lacrimal caruncle. So lacrimal caruncle is the triangular structure that separates the upper and lower canaliculi. So over here, coming back to that picture again. So this part is this triangular structure is the lacrimal caruncle, right? That separates the this triangular structure. This one is the lacrimal caruncle that separates both of these canaliculi, right? Okay. So now the two canaliculi may open separately into a lacrimal sac or may join to form a common canaliculi. So over here in this picture you can see that this is the caruncle, this triangular structure is the caruncle. It separates both of the canaliculi and these canaliculi open into the lacrimal sac. But the last point they said is that they may both have a common opening or they may open separately into the lacrimal sac. Over here, lacrimal canaliculi have the lacrimal canaliculi have the small opening or the common canaliculi, and then they enter both connect or they are attached to a common canaliculi, and that canaliculi further opens into the lacrimal sac. But there can be a chance that the upper canaliculi enters the lacrimal sac up from the upward from another path, and the lower canaliculi enters the lacrimal sac from the other path, right? Okay, so this is the another image. You can see we are discussing about drainage system which is near the nose. The punctum is this dot and this dot, upper punctum and lower punctum. This is the lower canaliculi, this is the upper canaliculi, then we have the lacrimal sac. So we are going to discuss now. We have discussed the lower canaliculi and punctum has been discussed. So we are moving towards the lacrimal sac, right? So lacrimal sac is a cystic structure. It's a cyst-like structure which is situated in the lacrimal fossa formed by the lacrimal bone and the frontal processes of the maxilla. Basically, these two are the bones, right? So they are saying that there is a space that is formed by the lacrimal bone and the maxillary bone, and this is a little bit of space. There is a little bit of space made by the lacrimal and maxillary bone, and in that space, in that hollow space, is the lacrimal sac, which is about 15 millimeter in length and 5 millimeter wide when distended. So over here it means that when the lacrimal sac is filled with tears, it is almost about 5 millimeters in width, right? And the sac is continuous with the nasolacrimal duct inferiorly. So this sac is over here. You can see that this is continuous. This is the lacrimal sac, and here then we have the nasolacrimal duct, right? So this opens into the nasolacrimal duct from where the tears are then drained further. So here you can see this is the lacrimal sac which is 15 millimeter in length and 5 millimeter in width when the lacrimal sac is fully filled with the tears, right? And this now tube-like structure is the nasolacrimal duct, right? So it is a membranous canal. It is approximately 2 centimeter long, right? It's just 2 centimeter long, and extending from the lower part of the sac to the inferior meatus of the nose. So inferior meatus is basically the nasal cavity, right? So the nasolacrimal duct is only 2 centimeter long and it extends from the lacrimal sac to the nasal cavity, right? So when the tears reach the nasolacrimal duct, it then moves to the nasal cavity and they are then drained into the nose, right? So now what is the blood supply of the lacrimal gland? So the arterial supply means that the artery that takes the blood from heart to the lacrimal apparatus is the basically lacrimal branch of ophthalmic artery. So lacrimal artery is a branch of ophthalmic artery. It brings the blood from heart to the lacrimal apparatus. Infra and another one is the infraorbital branch of the maxillary artery. So two arteries help in the supply of blood from heart to the lacrimal apparatus. These are basically ophthalmic artery and maxillary artery. These both arteries are further divided into some branches. The ophthalmic artery divides into the lacrimal artery, which is a branch, and it supplies to the lacrimal apparatus, while the maxillary artery divides into the branch that is the infraorbital branch and it then supplies to the lacrimal gland. Okay, so the blood supply to the lacrimal gland was by these two arteries, and the venous drainage, the deoxygenated blood or the blood that is moved from the lacrimal gland to the heart is done by the lacrimal vein, which opens into the superior ophthalmic vein, right? So lacrimal vein is again the branch of the ophthalmic vein and it collects the blood from the lacrimal gland and it takes the blood towards the heart, right? So the nerve supply is the lacrimal branch of the ophthalmic division of fifth nerve. So fifth nerve is basically the trigeminal nerve and it has three further branches or three further main divisions. So the trigeminal nerve is divided into the three divisions. One is ophthalmic, next is maxillary, and third one is the mandibular. The first branch, which is the ophthalmic branch or the ophthalmic division, it divides into further branches. So the nerve supply to the lacrimal gland is by the lacrimal branch of the ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. So we have discussed all about lacrimal apparatus, its parts, its structures, and its all complete anatomy and functions, right? So I hope this lecture is very clear to you all. And in case of any query or problem, you can comment in comment section and don't forget to like, subscribe and share it with your fellows so that they will also get knowledge about the lacrimal apparatus. We will be back with another video very soon. Till then, thank you so much.